Hello, and welcome to another episode, the first episode of What Grant Wilkins Does with His Precious Lifetime. And in this episode, I'm going to show you how I have hand-studded my own road bike tires. I've actually not really ridden bicycles that often in my life, but all of a sudden, while I'm in Homer, Alaska, I've decided that I need to ride my junkyard scavenged road bike at high speeds on ice, and I have installed my own studs on these tires. Now let me move over to the tool area. Unfortunately, I don't have a cameraman, and I have to use my own personal mirror. Not necessarily the highest quality of cineramic excellence, I guess. If we could go there. I'm also just kind of like freewheeling on the lines here. The dialogue isn't pre-calibrated or written. I'm actually watching PBS right now. Something about woodworking, which is cool. Boop-a-doo. All right. Now here is the studded tire that I have partially finished. Right here. This is a 27-inch road bike tire that I have outfitted with rivets and stainless steel washers. If you can see them in the image here, as you can see, I have equally partitioned my studs all the way around the tire to kind of preserve the balance, since this 27-inch tire is probably going to be spinning pretty fucking fast. You probably don't want it to be out of balance. And, I'm assuming that all these rivets weigh the same. Therefore, if I partition them equally, they, should balance themselves out. Now, I've got them kind of stuck on the tire, on the left and right sides. Now, this is the front tire. I'm not quite finished with it. I'm also thinking I want to put some rivets or studs in the very center. So I'm going to take... I've kind of figured that I can put 2 studs on every quarter length of tire here. You can go 2 here, and on the exact opposite side, I can do another 2. Possibly, you can see it on the inside there. I got it partially started. There's 1 there. Let me flip it over. Yeah, here's 1 on the opposite side. I'm going to put another one here. And then at, 90 degrees, I'll put another 2, Well, that's the tire itself. Let me go over the tools and the reasoning behind how you do these rivets. The first tool you need is an awl. It's basically just a sharp piece of metal with a point on it, an awl, a leatherworking awl, or possibly a like a rope assisting, like a rope tying awl that's sharp, so that you can poke through the tire with it. You want to poke through it, as opposed to like drilling through it with a drill bit. You don't want to remove the material, because if you remove material from the tire, that's going to, decrease the strength of the tire itself, due to the fact that this tire isn't just a solid piece of rubber. It's actually, rubber, poured around, some sort of threading or like radialage, whatever you call that. I'm not necessarily sure what the terminology is behind tire threading or reinforcement right now, but what you want to do with the awl is you want to kind of push the awl through and get in between the threads of the tire. Now, when I watch this in the future, I'll probably be thinking like, yes, this is cool, first person, look. I'm like, oh, look, yeah, push it in the tire. Look, I can even do it from remote. Look, boom, 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 push it in the tire. Yes, power of a pocket camera. This is awesome. So much fun. But, man, I'm not sure if you can see that. See if I can hang this on the top of my head. Oh, nice. get my head to stabilize here, possibly balance with the tire. I'm not necessarily sure if you can see that inside there, but there are, you know, threads running kind of like perpendicular to the rubber itself. When you push the awl through, you get in between the threads. You don't actually damage them. You just kind of push the rivet through in between. Anyway, so step one, push the awl through the tire. You know, shabam. Push one through. Usually, like, you know, for example, if I want to put a rivet like in between these two studs here, I'd want to press down through here, push all the way through, and then push the rivet in through the back, because I want the wider end of the rivet to be on the outside. And you need the washer to be, the ID of the washer to be small enough to prevent the rivet from pulling all the way through. Because a lot of times when you pull a rivet, the damn pin pulls through and you end up with a hole. You don't want that in a stud on your tire, because in that case, you're not going to have this, you know, like steel pin here to grip on the ice in the road. You're going to end up with like this washer and just the sheet metal there to grip onto the road, and that will wear down pretty quick. The fear there is that the sheet metal around the outside, not necessarily sheet metal, but this, you know, that rivet material crap will wear down very quickly on the asphalt, and then the rivet will just pull through. And the danger there is that the rivet will pull through, it'll bounce around the inside of the tire, and then at some point you're going to end up with all these rivets in between the tire and the tube, and they'll all, you know, pile up, and, you know, your wheel is going to be really out of balance, and you'll have to take it all apart, which would blow. So make sure you get washers with an ID small enough to prevent the pin from pulling through. So when you pull it with a rivet tool, it just squeezes the piss out of it. The tension here is just insane, because the rivet isn't actually, you know, like pulling through as well as it should. It's actually, you know, locking up on the pin, and the pin actually snaps apart. You can see this pile of rivet pins over here. Got a whole pile of them. Now when you pull a rivet through, usually it just pulls all the way through, and you end up with, like, you know, like a mushroom on the end that, you know, expanded the rivet. But the way I did it, this, you know, steel pin actually sheared apart and preserved the mushroom end of the rivet on my stud, which should last a pretty long time, I would assume. We'll see. I'll have to test. Alright, so tool 1, awl. Push through the tire, get them equally, you know, divided along the tire. Shabam, shaboom. Other tools you'll need? Well, you know, rivet gun, of course. Check it out on my chair, you know, very organized, very well planned out. Hey, I'm doing something cool. Grab the pocket camera and, you know, review for the future. Rivet gun, possibly a pair of lineman's pliers, as these are called. I guess for some reason that linemen's really preferred these really super gnarly pliers. Anyway, they're good for pushing the rivet through, because you can take a rivet, kind of like just put in the end of these pliers here, see? And you can kind of like, you know, finagle this rivet through the binding of the tire. You can't push it through by hand, because you haven't really made a hole in the tire with the awl. You just kind of like punctured it. Therefore, you need to like force this rivet through that rubber and, you know, binding. So you need a pair of pliers to be all like, brow, get in the tire crap, force it in there, boom. So yeah. Anyway, let me go back to the mirror so I can talk to myself. It's too bad I don't have a camera person. Indentured slaves would be nice. Maybe I want to have children. But yeah, there you go. I think that was a fairly educational form of pocket video. Oh, I'm kind of pointing to the ground there. But, you know, if you have any questions about doing this, anything I left out, since this is totally freewheeling with the camera, and I didn't necessarily, you know, call my production team or, you know, writing crew, don't hesitate to call or comment on this video if I do choose to put it on YouTube. Or if I just emailed it to you and, you know, singled you out. If I just said, hey, you, I want you to know this and no one else. In that case, again, don't hesitate to let me know that I've left information out of the video, because it's important to me that you know everything that I learned. Or not. Maybe. Yeah. So, riveting your bike tire for traction on ice. Next time, I'll give you a review about how it works, probably by the end of the day today. Shabam, shaboom. Chit-chat later. Bye!